Governor Chris Christie is still dealing with the backlash from the George Washington Bridge scandal. Hello and thanks for joining us this weekend here on YNN, your news now. I'm Innae Park. Tom, this debate was over just a couple of days, and I'm sure that was an issue that struck a chord with you as well. But storm surge, that's always going to be an issue. In fact, that storm surge is expected to bring waves crashing off Lake Ontario, which is where Care Thomas is. Now, authorities say Joss was trying to free his sled between the Harwood Drive and Miller Road rail crossing when he was hit by a southbound CSX freight train. And get your fried fix or maybe even enjoy the sunset on the Ferris wheel. It doesn't get much better than that. Ms. G, this question begins with you. And if you did have the control, what would you do with that?
The mood was certainly electric here at the Democratic headquarters following Election Day, not only because there's a new mayor in the city of Albany after 20 years.
The Senate's meetings leading up to the passage of this bill violated open meetings laws.
When the judge summed up what he felt like was their downfall for McGinn, he said it was arrogance. But we do know that one person has died. Police are investigating this as a homicide. Well, that's because this initiative is moving beyond Room 36 and into other schools, including Pinewood Intermediate.
Adoptions make a big impact because that creates more room for new animals. And Hayes has been here since December. I even heard a parent tell a child to be careful when going down the slide because of just how hot it is. Now, we have this temperature gauge.
You actually have a greater chance of being crushed to death by a vending machine when you shake it to try to get your snack out than actually winning this Powerball jackpot. That led to the eruption of this water wonderland.
Now I know where I can go if the TV doesn't work out.
We'll hire you.
Oh, say, can you see?
Cherie Akins-Maddox. Akins-Maddox was found shot to death early this morning. Our Innae Park has been following this story for us today. She is standing by now with the latest. Hi, Innae.
Hello, Kate. Well, as you mentioned, Akins-Maddox was found shot dead inside her own apartment behind me on Lark Street. Police tell us that all 4 of her children were inside, their ages ranging from 5 to 19. They were not hurt, but the 33-year-old mother is now dead after what police call a domestic incident. While there is a man now behind bars, police say there's still a lot of unanswered questions.
She said, my mother's dead. I think she's dead. She's not moving.
That's what Cherie Akins-Maddox's daughter said on the phone early Thursday morning. That's according to Wendy Barnett, who calls herself the murder victim's aunt. The fatal shooting happened inside 156 Lark Street just after 12:30 a.m. Police say all 4 of her children were inside at the time.
We're still awaiting the autopsy to determine the exact cause. We do have somebody in custody.
That someone is Damian Zervos, a 32-year-old Guilderland man. Police say he shot Akins-Maddox in the head with a rifle. He pled not guilty to the charge of second-degree murder Thursday afternoon.
It's a horrific situation. My condolences go out to the family.
Police say the two had a domestic relationship but will not specify details. But nearby residents are unfazed.
I'm 34 years old, pretty much. It doesn't shock me no more when they shoot somebody.
Didn't take long for someone to get killed a couple houses down from where I live. It's a little scary, but it's kind of what I expected around here.
Every homicide is a heartbreak, and we're really striving to keep those numbers down.
Zervos was remanded to the Albany County Jail without bail. His next court appearance is scheduled for Wednesday, November 6th. In Albany, Innae Park, YNN.
Troy Police Chief John Tedesco says he could sue the city after officials appointed a police commissioner earlier this year. Tedesco contends the move was illegal, according to the city charter. Innae Park's been following this story for us in Troy and joins us now with more on what's happening with it. Innae?
Okay, well, I spoke to the chief earlier, and he tells me that the hiring, or the appointment that is, of a public safety commissioner is legal according to the charter, but not a police commissioner. The city says, though, it has precedence to do so because this has been done before, and thus there is no legal issue. However, after having 8 months of a police commissioner in place, the chief says he just can't take it any longer.
I think it's time that I stood up for my rights.
And Police Chief John Tedesco is not budging. In a letter to the city from his attorney, Brian Primo calls for the elimination of the police commissioner position.
If you don't like the fire chief, if you don't like the police chief, then fire them. Okay, but they don't have grounds to do that, so they effectively dismissed me by failing to allow me to do my job.
Primo says the appointment of Anthony Magneto is unlawful because the charter only allows for a public safety commissioner who would oversee all emergency departments. not just a police department.
There has been a precedent set where there has been a police commissioner in the city of Troy without a public safety commissioner, and we followed that precedent.
Corporation Counsel Ian Silverman says the claims have no merit, including the one where the chief says his right to free speech was violated.
We talk a lot about chain of command, and ultimately the top chain of command in the city is the mayor. Everyone in the city answers to the mayor, and when you become insubordinate, that becomes an issue.
The mayor says it's too early to determine a course of action, but if communication is what the chief wants, he's already had it.
I have no problem speaking with the chief. No. Commissioner Magneto is in a position to speak with him directly on a daily basis. He includes them in intelligence meetings, command officer meeting. So if there's, that's why I'm a little surprised.
But for the chief, that isn't enough.
I do not want to sue the citizens of this city and cost them, certainly in escalating costs that they have. But you know, I'm not going to be pushed out of here. You know, and I will fight for the right to do my job.
As you heard from the mayor, things are still very preliminary at this point. They haven't set a date for that meeting or if they're even going to have one. But the chief did tell me that if he doesn't hear from the city in the next week or two, he will be forced to take action. Kate?
A story we are continuing to watch. Thank you, Innae Park, for that report.
Natural casing hot dog, Frankfurter, and we have our own blend of Medford style mustard and Spanish onions and our own chili meat sauce.
They're the dogs delivered around the world. These mini Frankfurters were first shipped from Troy's famous lunch in the 1950s, all the way to Moscow. But the shipments haven't stopped.
Navy veteran in Missouri. Okay, great.
That's right, Missouri. And that gift is coming from a very special Capital Region couple who knew a doctor who went to serve in Afghanistan.
They're telling me about packages that guys get, and when they come home, how much they mean to them. That's how it got started. So then we've been shipping them out all over the United States.
We vacuum pack the hot dogs, put the sauce in a jar, and we pack it up with freezer packs, rolls separate.
The man and his wife wish to remain anonymous, but messages of thankfulness are sent right back.
He's a wounded warrior, and he's having some difficulties, post-traumatic stress, and I sent him a box with all the fixings for 50 hot dogs, and I got a picture back from the mother, and I don't even know the young man's name, but she said it was the first time he'd smiled in 18 months.
And there's no stopping the hundreds of more hot dogs, bringing fame and the familiar all across the country.
It gives them something from home, you know, and let them know that the people from Troy, you know, appreciate what they're doing.
In Troy, Innae Park, Time Warner Cable News. You might just miss it. A single red light on Albany's Lodge Street means go, not stop, and step into an era of secret sips.
We try and keep it as underground and under the radar as we can, simply because we want you to have to come here to experience it.
This is the Speakeasy.
The Albany area during Prohibition had literally dozens of speakeasies. They were everywhere. They were known.
Now there's just one. Manager Robert Mack and the Hideaway's owners are recreating an appreciation that dates back to close to a century ago.
Their intention was to have an authentic speakeasy. It's taking what was started during the speakeasy era in taking less than good quality spirits and ingredients and mixing them with other flavors to mask those less than tasty flavors and create cocktails that were easily consumed.
The Prohibition-esque culture revived in the early 2000s across the country, while the Capital Region's latest offerings have only just welcomed their patrons for a few months. The plans have been in the works for years. The Malt Room in Troy, another haven for those looking for something nostalgic yet new.
It's not exclusive, but it has a feeling of exclusivity. Like, people come here because they feel like they're in somewhere that a lot of people don't know about.
There's a little bit of a sanctuary that goes on with it. You know, we don't have TVs on purpose.
While the Malt Room doesn't go as far to ban cell phones and photography as a speakeasy does.
What it comes down to is just to be able to enjoy a great drink
in a beautiful room, you know, to have ambiance, good music, good conversation
with some great people.
And this mixture is going down easy. Just don't be afraid to speak about it. Innae Park, YNN.